This
is
conference will now be recorded.
spec specific set of JavaScript that we can use. Not all libraries are again supported, so they try to bring support during each and every release, but mostly we'll be using ServiceNow oriented JavaScript coding scripts. Again, it will be based on any customer's requirement. So for example, let's say if I want to uh, create a specific pop-up, uh, it can be easily done, but again, you need some basic level of understanding on how it works. Mostly, ServiceNow is trying to move towards a low-code, no-code environment. So whatever that we are trying to do can also be done mostly even without a code. So I just customize, let's say, if an email has to be sent when a ticket has been raised, and that email needs to be sent across a particular team, not just one team. We can do that with just a small customization. We don't have to write a specific code for it, but it can be done easily with a script. But if I have to say, customizations are also there for certain requirements. So a basic to intermediate level of JavaScript understanding is needed in order to work with this.
Okay. And me also means from means known coding background. So means how complicated this JavaScript is, and you will means help us in that, right? Means
Yes, definitely,
some
definitely.
examples.
I'll so as part of our agenda, we'll definitely go through all the different type of scripts that we use as part of
Mhm.
our training. So I'll try to keep it as basic as possible, and then we'll try to go a little advanced, but I'll try to stop there to make sure that you have an understanding so that I'll be able to just
Mhm.
showcase you what else we can do as part of the scripting. So a lot of things are achievable. We'll try to keep it as basic as possible, and then move slowly towards a little advanced uh, scripting that we'll be seeing here.
Okay.
So yeah, mostly we'll be using JavaScript in the ServiceNow ecosystem for making any customizations. But again, as I said, a lot of things are achievable with just some
Mhm.
customizations. I'll try to show you how that can be done also. So uh, you'll get an understanding how things work.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's wait for a couple of more minutes for this to join, and then I'll get started. And uh, just for a quick overview for today's demo, probably I'll give you an overview about uh, what is ServiceNow and probably one of our customers' requirement, and how do we understand those and get started with the dev activities. So uh, we'll try to see that as part of this demo. Again, I'll try to keep it short and easily understandable. Again, uh, it's not specific. Again, this is going by the books, but if you have any specific topic or anything that you'd like to understand as part of ServiceNow, I can do that as also as part of the demo. So do let me know if you have any specific thing that you'd like to know about ServiceNow that we can discuss as part of this demo.
So Corey, I have one quick question for you. So here, will we be doing data import into the ServiceNow system?
Uh, yes, we can see an example about how all possible ways we have to do a data import. So basic import mechanisms, we usually use integrations, Excel sheets. So we'll see a couple of examples around that.
Yeah. And integration is
What
also
type
part
of,
of, sorry, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, Ankur. So what would be the format of the file?
Okay, so the format usually supported is we have various formats, but usually it'll be an Excel. So Excel, again, it depends on what data we are trying to insert. So let's say I'm trying to insert data about devices. So I'll be having a CMDB table, and I can actually take an export of the table's data from ServiceNow and have that as a template, request whoever is a data populator to populate the data, and then I can import the same. So usually it will be an Excel, but it supports various other formats. I believe we have XML and JSON,
CSV. CSV also?
yeah, CSV.
Mhm. So while we are using JSON, do we need to write any coding when we are when we are importing the data?
Um, yes, we will have to if we are going to use JSON as a formatter while importing data. So usually, again, we have a JavaScript function that can format the data, and we can use a key value pair to understand what is inside that JSON body, and then we'll be able to extract the data from it. So again, it's pretty simple. It's just like calling a particular library, and then once I call that library, I can just do uh, the key value pair, that is the parent dot field name. So if a JSON is named as a, let's say, uh, inside I have result, and then inside result I have uh, some case information. So that will be like a case number. So result dot case number will give me the actual value for the case number from the JSON. So it's sort of a simple one-liner code to get that information.
So you're telling that there is an automatic transformation of code. When we run the script, automatically the code will be running behind, so that we
Yes,
can.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes, something like that. So again, as I said, if we will need some understanding, but again, there are a lot of libraries existing in the system as well as in the JavaScript uh, coding library. So we'll try to utilize those instead of writing a complicated code.
Mm. Okay, got it.
Okay,
Please
Gauri.
go ahead, Ankur.
Yep, Gauri. Is there any integrations also included in this training?
Yes, we will do a simple integration. So again, when I mean integrate, sorry. So when I mean about integration, we'll see a small example of how we can uh, do a testing using a Postman tool. We can actually achieve that with another ServiceNow system, but again, it'll be better if we do it with a different tool. So for that example, I'll be using a Postman. Again, Postman is a tool
Uh-huh.
that we use for testing. So we can do that, use a Postman to do a testing, but we will be using that to do a data import into ServiceNow, and basically that is all we'll be needing even to perform an integration. So again,
So we'll, yes, sorry.
yeah, so again, that will be on a basic overview level, something like a minimum requirement needed to set up and do a data import.
So we'll use using means APIs, REST APIs or SOAP APIs, this integration, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. So we have a couple of examples. So one, if I'm using a REST API, the method is only a data push. So when I mean data push, it's been pushed by a third party into ServiceNow. We
Mm-hmm.
have another mechanism where we can also pull the data. So in order to pull the data, I can write Similarly, a REST message where I can actually go and pull the data. And there is another mechanism also. So when we do a push, we don't have to specifically uh, use certain APIs because not all APIs are available. So let's say I have a custom requirement. So I can create
Mhm.
my own API in the platform and expose that API to the third-party tool where it's like it's trying to integrate with ServiceNow. So
Mhm.
as part of that API, I can write my own code and request it to do whatever I want. So let's say I have a custom table and a custom requirement. So there may not be an API for it. It will definitely support a table API, but again, table API is just for data import. But if I'm creating my own API and if I expose that to a third-party tool, I can whenever that tool hits that API with the required data, I can do anything I want with the data, not just import data. So let's say I can process the data and then let's say I want to send an email or do a sanitization of the data and then insert into our respective tables or multiple tables. I can do all those. So the
Okay, so
control will be
you
with me.
okay, so you're gonna show us all these stuff, right?
Yes, again, a basic overview. We'll create a simple scripted. So we call that as a scripted REST endpoint. So we'll be creating those.
I have a question. So is ServiceNow integrated with, does it work with Oracle database servers or does it link with SQL database servers?
So yeah, I'd like to rephrase the question again. So when you mean ServiceNow is linked with a specific database, you'd like to understand where the data in ServiceNow is stored, like which database, is that a question?
Yes.
Okay, so basically it depends on a customer's requirement. Uh, ServiceNow has moved, I believe, I'm not exactly sure on what database they use right now, but if I recollect it correctly, they use MariaDB for now. But again, it is customer specific. Let's say if a customer wants ServiceNow in an Oracle database, they can set up and provide a customer with an Oracle database. But I think out of the box, the database is called MariaDB. So I'm just checking this one. Let's see if, yeah, I don't think so. The detail is being provided here. But yeah, usually I think out of the box, the database is called an MariaDB, and that's where all the database is stored. And if your understanding is about connecting to a specific database for any data pool, it supports, I think, almost any database types. So we can see that in the data source.
So for MariaDB, means which language we use? Means SQL to get the
Uh,
data.
yes, anything it uses in the backend. Again, we don't usually write any database query. So what happens is you will be writing a JavaScript code, and that
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript code will be converted into a SQL query. Again, yes, it is an SQL query. So in the backend, the processing is taken care by the platform. So we don't specifically write any database queries in the platform. It is all taken care uh, by using a platform specific JavaScript library, which we'll be seeing.
Okay.
So,
Please, little louder.
yeah. So my question is, so whatever we need to do, uh, even to connect with a database or whatever we need to do, it all depends upon JavaScript, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah,
Whatever the
we'll
action or whatever we need to perform in ServiceNow, it's completely linked with JavaScript.
Yes, exactly. So maybe I'll give you a quick overview about how the platform is built. So if you see that I'm trying to open something, let's take about tables. So
Mhm.
on the platform, I have something called tables. So what happens is if I create a new table here, again, I'm trying to create a table. Let's say I have a requirement from a customer saying he wants a custom table to do custom processing. Let's say he wants to keep all uh, let's say HR related or things related to hiring into this. So I can name it as custom hiring, and it'll automatically pop up the name for it. So this will be the backend name. So this is the database name. So the
That will
platform,
be unique.
yes, that will be unique. So the platform that we are seeing here, it's actually built on Java. Again, we will not be touching anything in the Java layer. So everything that we are seeing will be on the browser. So the browser supports JavaScript, and whatever I write here, automatically the platform converts that into a specific database query, and it talks with the ServiceNow database, and that can be specific to a customer. Out of the box, it will be a MariaDB. And what it will do is, if I click on save now, so we have other options we'll discuss more about, but let's just keep it simple for now. So I have an option here to save. So what will happen is when I click on save, so in the backend, again, a database query will be sent to the database saying create new data, create new table with this name, and it automatically creates these columns for it.
in the
So
database.
now,
These will be like default column names.
yes, these are the default column names. So I can create my own column, but by default, it should at least have all these six, and it will automatically be created. And sysid is a major one to look for, because that will be like a unique key for any record getting created on this table.
So this
Specific.
table get created in the database only
Yes, it gets
directly.
created automatically in the database. Yeah. So I can open it up. So all I need to do is get the name. Again, this is a shortcut to do. So I can copy the name in the navigator and do a dot list to open the list of entries from the table. So as of now, I have a table. I don't have any data. I can create my own data now.
Records you want to say.
Yes, records. So on an overview, the platform that we are seeing, that is ServiceNow, is built using Java. So again, the Java code, the if I should say, the underlying code that we are seeing here is full of Java, and what it does is something like what we just did right now. If I create a table, that particular Java code will understand that I'm trying to create a table. It will gather all these information, and it will automatically do a database query to my database with all these information and set up a database for me in the backend. From the
Okay.
platform, from a particular customization, we won't be doing anything related to a database query. It's all taken care by the platform.
Okay, Bori. So how about like, let's say if you're creating a relationship between two tables,
Yes.
then how we will be linking up the.
It depends upon what relationships that we're talking about. So for example, let's say I can take one of an existing table here. So let's talk about incidents. Again, if I take, I can actually go to the table from here. So if you see here, this is a different table named as incident, where it will have all the details about a particular incident tickets, but it is being extended from a task table. So what it means is, again, any columns that I have in the task table will be considered as a parent column. And when I create the incident table, all the columns from the task table will be given to the child table also. So it's the parent child concept that we
So
see here. And this will be the basic relationship that we can create between two tables that we are seeing here. There are more advanced topics when it actually comes to relationship, and that will be mostly into a particular CMDB level of customization. So for example, let's say I have a application running, and that application will be actually running on a server. So when I mean a server, it could be a Windows server or a Linux server. And both these two concepts, that is an application and a server will be considered as two different records. So these two different records need to be linked, because only then, let's say there is an issue with the application, a support engineer will know on what server is this application hosted. So it's all a little bit complex concept when it comes to creating a relationship. So that level of customization is also available out of the box. So we don't have to do anything specific for that. We just have to comply with the data population mechanism. So when I'm importing data about the application, I also have to say that the application is installed on this server. So if I say that, then I'm compliant. If not, I'll either it'll throw an error, or again manually it's possible to uh, create this data without the server information. But if I'm using the platform specific architecture of following the data population mechanism, in that case I'll be compliant, and these information will be available and the relationship will get created automatically. So again, those are little advanced topics. Maybe we can discuss those on a later point of time. But when it comes to simple relationship setup, we have this extends table concept here for one table. If I'm trying to link one table to another table.
So if you're linking, so we are extending all the columns, or we can extend 1 2 columns only.
Uh,
Okay.
by default, it will extend all the columns from the task table, but it once it is extended, you are free to delete any columns. It will only
Okay.
get deleted in the child table.
Okay.
So here we will be developing applications and as part of a workflow, right? So do we have record permissions and all those concepts here in ServiceNow?
Yes, we do have. So one quick example I can show is this.
If you,
So
yeah, if you don't mind, can you please open one record from the front end?
yeah, sure, that shouldn't be a problem. So uh, you saw that we created this table, right? So if we go through it, we'll go in detail about all these, but just uh, for the sake of the answering this question, I'm trying to open this particular table that we created. By default, we saw that the columns were created, and there is also controls. So I can control if any other table can extend this. Live feed is mostly used for uh, seeing the information about this particular records in the table uh, in a portal view. We'll discuss this. I have a concept called auto number. If I'm using a numbering concept like incident numbers, case number, I can also add a number for this. And
So
then I can
you mean you
create
can restrict the number of records?
no, this is auto numbering. So you see these numbers here,
Okay.
right? Like
Okay.
when
Okay. Yeah.
create
Yeah.
an
Got
incident.
it.
Yeah. So it's something like that. So these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I have create access controls. Again, this will be by default. And what will happen is it will create a new role. And this role name is called this. So it will always end with a user. So
Mm-hmm.
any user with this role now will be able to access this table. And again, how that is written is, if we scroll a little bit down, we have an access control list.
Mm-hmm.
So this will automatically create, delete, read, and write. So it's a CURD operation.
Mm-hmm.
So for
So
all CURD operations, it will create
mhm.
each record. And this record, if I open up, again, this will be a read only for me now. I need an elevated privilege in order to customize this, but by default it will create it with this user. So when I create a table, automatically this role gets created. While creating, I can disable this also. So
Mm-hmm.
by default it will create this role, and it will
Mm-hmm.
create 4 access controls, each for different operations, and each access control will have this role here. I can add this role, I can remove this role, but I need an elevated privilege in order to do this. And
So
again, we have
what
this admin
this is
override
related
option.
to? This is related to particular table, right?
Yes, this is related to particular table. So every table will have this control.
So if we talk about the particular entry in the record, if we want to control the access of entries or records, then how we could do that? Means if this particular entry has access of only those people and other people can see other entries. So how it is
Yeah,
possible?
yeah. So I can show an example. So let's say I take this user. So by
Mhm.
default, this user does not have any roles. And let me
Right.
just create this now. So I'm creating a user. Again, I'm using one of the out-of-the-box user. Let's say
Mhm.
I you can see my incognito window, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me take the instance. So I'll try to log in as that user who does not have any role. So he'll be able to and this is a custom table. And let's say if that user is trying to access this table, and this is a mechanism. So it'll say security constraints prevent access to the requested page. So by this way, any user who does not have this role, he'll not be able to see. So I can open any table. I can give this access control to anyone, but I have to check if this access control roles. So let's say I can only give him read. I can create my own role again and give only read control to that particular user. So if I add this role now, that user, so he'll be able to read it. But ideally, I have the same role for other operations also, so he'll be able to do everything. But we can be specific. I can edit the other roles, sorry, other access controls, and make sure that this is only a read-only operation. So I'll need to refresh. I think I had to log out and log in again in order to do that. So I just gave him the role. So I'm going to log out and log in again, and then I'll be able to access the table because I just gave the role. So now you see we don't see any security constraints. So for each and every table, I can restrict with the help of an access control, and this access control can be custom.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, my question is if he got the access of table, right? So he
Yeah.
can create new records or new entries there.
Yes.
So let's suppose he created 5 or 6 entries. So now we want to restrict some users to some entries. Means he can't see some records. How we can do that?
So that again depends on the use case. So let's say uh, we have the same table here. I can create one more rule. Again, that
Mhm.
won't be here. I can write an advanced rule here. So you see this option, advanced. So if I use this, I can actually script it. And what I can write it in the script is, so basically we'll have requirements such as this particular user should be able to see the records created only by him. So he should not see any other records.
Yes,
So in
yes.
that case, I'll write a condition. So I can write a condition or an advanced script saying that created by me. So I'll do so again there are custom libraries. So mostly what it will be is current.user.created by me. So it's again a single liner. So something like that we can write, but I got your point. I'll take a note of this. So probably when we discuss about some scripting concepts, we'll try to see this
Mhm.
as a live example.
Okay,
So,
sure. No problem.
Gauri, one more quick question. So,
Yeah,
will we have any help guide? So, let's say I'm a new user. I'm a new user to ServiceNow. So, if I'm not sure, like, what would be the correct exact
Keyword.
function or the word. So will there be any help document in order just for a quick reference?
Uh, okay, just give me a moment. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I got your question. So basically, there isn't anything specific like that, but let's say if you're trying to do something, uh, let's say uh, trying to create a particular script, again, we have some best practices available out of the box. So I usually refer to docs directly. So there are lot of information available in the docs.
Is this accessible for me as well?
Yeah, anyone can access it. So this is available here, but specific to anything that we are working on. So I can, again, I would recommend another website. So again, I think this is this. So here you have a lot of references. So my suggestion is try to go through these things first. Again, uh, to get some more understanding about the platform. You have a lot of learning plans. Again, let's say if uh, to see quickly, you have a citizenship developer. Again, this is mostly for developing a particular application using an App Engine Studio. And if you're new to ServiceNow, you can go through this. So there'll be some basic understanding about what is ServiceNow, what they do, how, what are tables and modules that we just saw. Some scripts, what is a client script, what is a business rule, what does a script include. There are a lot of different examples. So you can skim through this to get an understanding about what all are there. And then you have some references for APIs and product. Again, product documentation will take you to the docs website I just showed. But there are other components also. Again, these are a little bit advanced. Then you have some guides. You have a developer program, and then you can actually connect uh, via community blogs, and there are even events. So I would recommend to register through the ServiceNow events portal so that you'll be able to connect with other developers. Again, this happens quarterly once in each regions, so it happens region wise. If it is happening in one of your region, you can step in, walk in there by registering. But mostly since it's been a very long time this has happened due to the pandemic, so it's all online. So you can attend anything from the online. They usually share it as a Zoom meeting where people join as a community, and one of a companies or one of an organizers will share about his experience on implementing anything new, something like a WhatsApp integration, setting up a cloud discovery. So things like that, people will just go on and share in those events. So it's just additional languages, and you also get a broader view of what others are doing. So yeah, a lot of things are available here. So if you need, I can uh, share these. Probably, yeah, I have chat. Uh, if it's comfortable, you can take it up from here, or if you want any one of us to share it across with the entire participants via an email or something, maybe we can request that also to be done.
Yeah, that would be great, Gauri.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So yeah, I would recommend to go through at least uh, sorry, this website. Probably it will give you some idea. Whatever we are going to see will be a more step down version of this, mostly this new service now, where you'll get some more understanding more than what is actually done here. But yeah, this should give you an idea if you are someone who's new to service now.
And how about certification, Gauri?
So
So
when it
do you
comes
think,
to certification, it's again, sorry, please complete the question.
so do you think by the end of this training session, if you, I mean, if will we be able to do the certification? Do you think so?
Okay, okay, yeah. So um, my basic understanding so far with the admin certification is, let's say, uh, you grasp the basic understanding, and I'll try to do my best to give you the underlying architecture and how things work as part of ServiceNow. So you should be able to, but my recommendation is also if you have a specific book. So how ServiceNow certifications work is you need to sign up for a ServiceNow provided training, and then you get a coupon. So using that coupon, you will be able to sign up for an exam. And while you sign up for the training, you will be provided with a student copy of the book. Again, that will mostly be online. And going through the book top to bottom will usually be sufficient in order to take up an exam. And as part of our training, we'll be covering more than what is actually been available as part of that specific admin training book. So we're trying to be more focused on actual working environment. So actual, we'll try to discuss about actual requirements and how that can be done. So either way, it should make you more comfortable taking up that exam. We'll definitely try to focus. Again, we have a couple of students taking up those exams. So we gather those topics, and while we discuss those topics, I'll try to stress upon saying that these are the topics from where questions were asked. So something like that I'll be able to do while we are doing a session.
So this admin certification is a basic or an advanced one?
Uh, Sorry, can you repeat?
The certification which you are talking about right now, is this a basic or the advanced level certification?
Okay, so when it comes to certification, again, it depends what certification you're trying to take. So the one that I was talking about is a certified system administrator. So that's a CSA.
Uh-huh.
So I've been saying about that as we are discussing about the basic one, that is ServiceNow basic development and admin related topics. So I try to say about the certified system administrator. And again, the certifications vary based upon the modules that you're trying to work. And those are called application specialist or implementation specialist. So things like that, it varies as you dive deep into the ecosystem.
Hmm. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. And one more quick question for you, Wally. So, developer and administrator. I mean, one person can be a developer and an administrator, or I mean, how the jobs will be there in the market?
Uh, yeah, that's again dependent on a particular customer's requirement. So basically, what happens is uh, mostly if I have to talk about any uh, organizations, what they usually do is a development activity will be done by a specific developer, but the same developer mostly won't be doing any admin activities. So when I mean admin activities, what usually happens is once a development for a particular project is completed, the developer moves on to the next project. So before he moves on, the developer will give the KT sessions about what all dev activities were done to a specific team, and that team will be aligned as a support team for the project. Let's say if the support is also done by the same organization. So what happens is the developer gives a KT with all the documentations to a support team, and that support team will do admin activities. But it's not again, that support team is not specific to just doing admin activities. If they get a custom requirement, that's an opportunity for them to do dev activities also. So let's say
Okay.
I did a development of an integration uh, activity to create incidents from my own custom environment into ServiceNow. And if the developer goes on to the next project implementation, but this will be taken care by a support team. And the support team will do a support activity or admin activity around this. And if they get an enhancement request, they can do that. It's not specific to only the developer. It depends upon customer to customer, but usually this is the uh, general setup that I've seen across organizations.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And may I know like who are the users of ServiceNow, the clients?
Oh, there's a lot. Mm, I don't have a specific answer, but just to name few, Santander and yeah, to be specific in India,
Mhm.
I can say who is this in India? I think SBI, the State Bank of India, and Airtel. So Airtel is using ServiceNow.
Mhm.
Uh, Electronic Arts, EA is also using it. Yeah, the I can keep naming, but these are the few that came to my mind right away.
Okay.
Do
Yeah,
we have
Shell.
most clients in US or Europe geographic locations for service now?
The user base keeps expanding, but again, the expansion started probably a year or two later in the other regions also. So it started, most of the user base is still on the US, but if I should say, a lot is catching up in the APJ region also, Asia Pacific zones.
And Europe also?
Yes, yes, we do have Europe customers. So I think if you know Fruition Partners and Netherlands, we have this
Mhm.
Platformation, App
Okay.
Formation. Yeah, there are a lot of Europe partners too. Again, it varies, and there are a lot of customers. I can keep naming them. As per my
Mhm.
knowledge, I've worked on these projects, so I know them personally.
Okay.
And since from when ServiceNow came into implementation, Gauri?
That's a tough question. So I think it's been 14 years since they
Oh,
went live. Yeah, at least more than 9 years since they are public, but they are in the market for at least more than 10 years.
oh, okay.
Means previously their ITSM was famous, right? They started with the ITSM
Yeah, yeah.
and
They
then
just
they
started.
started GRC and all.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of products. If you just to give an overview now, they started with just ITSM, and
Mhm.
there's a lot now. It became a big pool.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, GRC are talking about this governance, risk,
Hmm.
and compliance.
Because we are in GRC, right? That's why I'm using this term again and again. Means probably my means motive to learn this tool is to get it. Means I'm already in GRC, so
Hmm.
and this tool is means expanding in GRC again. So that's why means I'm in this training to learn all this stuff.
Okay, then I'll try to use this opportunity to learn about GRC more. Then it's more of a documentation work when it comes to implementing GRC in ServiceNow. But basically, I don't have a very big idea about what GRC or how things are done. But
Means, it's just an application, right? Means the backend part is almost same for all the applications, right? The
yes,
backend
yes,
part is same. So in front end, we know that, but just for backend, how to customize it, that is important.
yes, exactly. So again, my overview understanding about what GRC is, again, it again the platform implementation, they try to segregate it with specific things which let's say just risk will be one specific component. It's not
Mhm.
specific to again all the three. And then when it comes to complaints, again mostly it's on the documentation front where we do the PDF mapping. So let's say if there is anything related to a PDF document that I need to share, all those will be on that. So it's all a little complicated when it comes to the platform on understanding how GRC works. So,
Mhm.
but the setup is pretty straightforward and easy. That can easily be done if you just follow this documentation here. So we
It means
have,
we just need to, install the plugins, right?
yeah. So the documentation is pretty straightforward. Usually, whenever you open anything, it first
Mhm.
explains you about what it is, and then you can directly go to get started section where it'll explain you what you need to do first. So they usually recommend to take any trainings, and mostly these trainings will be free. But I think for GRC it is paid one.
Okay.
But whatever you see, any modules you take, you go to get started. They'll start from installing the plugin and doing a minimal setup. But
Mhm.
customizations won't be here. That will be up to you.
The customization is same, right? Means from the backend, what you're going to teach us, it is
Yes,
probably same as
yes,
how to extend the tables, create the tables, and roles, and something like
yes, exactly. Okay, guys. So I'd like to wind up here. If there are any more questions, feel free to reach out to our organizers. But basically, this will be around it, and these are the modules. I think you would have got this. If not, student shareable document will be there. You can go through these modules. Feel free to add any module here that you don't see. Again, I want to keep this not specific to the books. I want to keep it specific to the participants. If you would like to
that.
learn more, or if you would like to understand any specific topics that is not as part of this agenda that we see here, feel free to add those. And once we have a batch setup, we'll get started with our training. Mostly it'll be a 1 hour training every day, and to give a rough overview, this should take us 20 to 30 hours to complete these. So when I mean 20 to 30 hours per day, 1 hour, it'll take us 30 days. And we always have a buffer day and a query session. So it should be doable within that time span.
And when we are starting that,
I don't have uh, the calendar yet, but I'll touch base with the organizers and let you guys know.
okay, because I
Thank
want
you
to
so
start
much.
it as soon as possible.
Yes, yes, sure. So the organizers will reach out to the participants, and we'll try to gather the comfortable timing for all the participants and go on and get started. Mostly it'll happen probably in a day or two, but once we have that set, we should be good to start.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So it was really nice talking to you all. So probably once we have our timings and date set up, we'll get started with this training. So that's it from my end. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Neelima. Please take it forward.